Hi, it's Dwyer, gamblersadvisory.com, dwyervip.com. Today is June the 21st, 2017. Remember, the opinion you should follow should be your own. Just consider this video to be a second opinion from a complete stranger online. First, let me congratulate Top Rank. They've made two moves recently that I think are gonna lead to big profits for them down the road. The first is they've signed Bryant Jennings, right? The heavyweight who people might remember went the distance with Vladimir Klitschko. Now, he made a mistake against Luis Ortiz and it cost him. He tried to fight Ortiz in the pocket. He started to get hit with uppercuts. He discovered what I believe most of the heavyweight division might eventually discover, that Luis Ortiz in the pocket, in the division, has few peers, right? But understand, if Bryant Jennings gets back on his back foot, uses his long reach, uses his legs, starts fights a little bit faster than he started some of his fights, like the Mike Perez fight, right? If Bryant Jennings just gets it together in this heavyweight division, I don't see why he can't become heavyweight champion, right? He's dangerous. Let's remember, you just saw Gerald Washington give Deontay Wilder all he could handle for several rounds, right? Washington doesn't move as well as Bryant Jennings. Also, Jennings now, given the level of opposition he's faced, right? He's already fought Vladimir Klitschko. He's already fought Luis Ortiz. Right? I believe he's just more prepared than he was when he was lesser experienced. I like the signing. I personally view the heavyweight division as unsettled. The second move Top Rank has done is they've signed a deal with ESPN, right? A network that has had some problems, right? You notice a lot of quality people leaving ESPN of late, right? Well, the latest being Hall of Famer Ray Lewis, the NFLer. Well, let me just say this. ESPN's getting back in the boxing game, right? What I like with what Bob Arum, the head of Top Rank, said is that he's going to try to put quality fights on, and he's going to approach, right, other promoters. He's going to approach, boxing managers who aren't necessarily tied to Top Rank to put on quality fights. Now, since Al Heyman and Premier Boxing champions have raised the bar on the level of fight that's showing up on less than pay-per-view TV, I believe the pressure is going to be on Top Rank to deliver value for you and me, the boxing public, right? So just like we've seen Deontay Wilder, for example, fighting on free TV, right? The heavyweight champion fighting on free TV. I'm hoping Top Rank puts people like, champions, serious contenders, Bryant Jennings on ESPN, right? Let's move away from the pay-per-view model. In this day and age, 2017, boxing needs to come to grips, in my opinion, with the fact that very few can sell on pay-per-view. If you're not the heavyweight champion of the world, if your last name is not Alvarez, right, Saul Alvarez, chances are slim that you're going to sell a lot on pay-per-view, right? The sooner the promoters figure out that the value is in actually allowing their fighters to have wider exposure by having the fighters in real fights on regular TV or on ESPN, right, which is part of YouTube TV, for example, right, the better off we'll all be. Now, let me shift gears for a second, right? Mark Cuban, who, is a genius in my opinion, right? Cuban has a saying that he lives by. And the saying is that, it doesn't matter how much you fail. You only have to be right once. Right? Venture capitalists know this. In fact, I believe every billionaire knows this. you're gonna bet on a lot of things, right? If one bet has huge upside and can set you up, and if it delivers, guess what? You've won. You've been set up, right? So, Conor McGregor, rather than fighting very tough competition, right? Errol Spence, Keith Thurman, Danny Garcia, Sean Porter, right? Rather than go through the matrix to prove to the fans that he's the best in boxing, he's decided to go after an all-time great, right? A guy who retired 49-0, right? He's decided to try to hunt down Floyd Mayweather. Now, I admire the courage, right? Don't get me wrong. I'm expecting Mayweather to not just win. I'm expecting Mayweather to win by KO, right? If you want better than these ridiculous odds, take Mayweather by KO, right? Get better odds than the 11-1 currently being offered. But in any event, the bottom line is this. If McGregor gets lucky, right, if he's right, and he wins the fight, wow. History will remember him as the guy who took away Mayweather's unbeaten record, right? Hardcore boxing fans will have to concede that he came into the sport and he beat one of the sport's very best, right? So with that in mind, right, keep in mind McGregor's one punch away from having his name in the history books, right? Even the boxing hardcore who say, look, this is Mayweather far removed from the Mayweather who was champion. Even the Mayweather who beat Manny Pacquiao was a much younger Mayweather than Floyd is now. Floyd's now in his 40s. Right? So even the boxing hardcore people who would say, he didn't beat Mayweather at his best. Mayweather's been out of the ring. Would have to say, well, yeah, Mayweather had never lost before. Right? This would be like Rocky Marciano beating Joe Louis, right? Keep in mind, Joe Louis had already lost to Ezra Charles, right? But, and I can tell you, growing up, whenever a tape of that fight was shown, right, my father turned the channel. Hell, he would tell me to get up off the sofa to turn the channel. He was a Joe Louis guy. But just to understand, we remember Rocky Marciano today in part because he knocked Joe Louis out of the ring. That's what Conor McGregor is going for against Floyd. So, we have Andre Ward's trainer, Virgil Hunter, now saying, hey, we want to fight heavyweight champion Anthony Joshua. Right? The heavyweight champion who has delivered the biggest box office. Right? The current heavyweight champion who has fought in the biggest fight in the heavyweight division in a long time. Right? You know what? More beer for him. I actually love the courage. Right? Don't get me wrong. I wouldn't be standing up and running to bet on that fight. But at the same time, if you're gonna, try to arrive, either come strong or stay home. Right? Andre Ward is trying to throw down the gauntlet here. Right? This is kind of a test balloon. You know the way they do it in politics. You have a campaign advisor make a statement, test it out in the public. If the public starts to demand the fight, trust me, sanctioning bodies, thinking dollars, will bend their rules to make it happen. right? You want Anthony Joshua at a press conference, right, where he's talking about Vladimir Klitschko or Luis Ortiz, who's a mandatory, or Kubrat Pulev, who's a mandatory, suddenly getting asked about your fighter, Andre Ward, right? And of course, if Ward beats Anthony Joshua, for everything Andre Ward has done in the sport, Olympic gold medalist, winner of the Super 6, super middleweight champion, light heavyweight champion, the only man to beat Kovalev as a professional. For everything he's done, just like with Roy Jones, the first paragraph of the biography is going to say Andre Ward won the heavyweight title. Right? Very first sentence. Before we get to everything else. That's how big the heavyweight belt is. Right? That's how big it is. Well, now you have an even more intriguing development out there. Right? I consider it intriguing. And let me say this too. Andre Ward at heavyweight is much more credible than Conor McGregor in a boxing ring. Right? I myself would take Ward over Deontay Wilder. Right? I would. Right? Ward Joshua, you know, let's see how Joshua looks his next fight. If I see Vladimir Klitschko on the ground again against Anthony Joshua, then no, I'm not. That's a fight I'd be on the sidelines on, Ward Joshua, right? But Deontay Wilder right now, I think Andre Ward can win that fight. But here's the problem, right? That doesn't mean that I think Andre Ward can beat most heavyweights, right? Styles make fights. It's about the styles, right? I don't think Conor McGregor thinks he beats most 154-pound guys. Trust me, I can just imagine Demetrius Andrade and the Charlo brothers rushing to sign a contract offered them to fight Conor McGregor, right? I know in the world of UFC, he's the big bad wolf. Trust me, in boxing, I don't think you'd have to twist anyone's arm to accept that fight, right? It would be a Sam Langford situation. Sam Langford, great heavyweight, Hall of Famer, in a less politically correct time. His nickname was the Boston Tar Baby. According to folklore, he was once in a cab. Cab pulls up to the side of the fight. Sam Langford says, please wait right here. Goes inside, wins the fight, comes back out, they claim, and gets in the same cab. Right? Trust me, that's the way, in my opinion, most elite fighters view a fight against Conor McGregor. Right? So, now you have heavyweights coming out the woodwork. Tony Bellew. I know Tony's saying, I'm a full-fledged cruiserweight. Yeah, Tony had a problem making weight at cruiser, right? Let's face it, Tony's really a heavyweight these days. Right? Tony likes his dessert. Come on, let's be real. Tony wants to fight Andre Ward. That fight would be a box office bonanza. Tony just had a box office bonanza for his fight against David Haye. Right? You want a guy who can bring a crowd with him, bring dollars to a professional prize fighting event? Tony Bellew's one of your guys, isn't he? That's a fight where I would have to take Bellew. Why? Because weights matter. Because I saw the rematch of Bellew against Cleverly, and I saw how Bellew on his front foot can shut off the ring, and he's coming to throw punches. Right? Also, Bellew is skilled. That was Bellew on his back foot against David Haye. Right? Bellew doesn't have a belt at heavy. Bellew wants the Andre Ward fight. I'm guessing Bellew is the tip of the iceberg. I'm guessing a lot of heavyweights would leap at the opportunity to fight Andre Ward. Right? Because they're going to view him, heavyweights view themselves as heavyweights. Right? Figuratively and literally. It's an insult to them that some guy who isn't even a cruiserweight is coming to their division to take them on. You remember there was a scene in a mall, I believe the YouTube video is still up, where David Haye, this is several years ago, David Haye wanted to fight Vladimir Klitschko. So he catches up to Klitschko in a mall. And one of the first things Klitschko says to him, and Klitschko looks at him, and Klitschko says to him, you know, what's your weight these days? How's your weight? Right? Because heavyweights look at you, and if you don't weigh enough, they don't take you seriously. So watch the development in boxing. Heavyweights coming out of the woodwork saying, hey, Andre, if you want to come fight in the heavyweight neighborhood here, fight me. Right? But just like Conor McGregor, Andre Ward needs to swing for the fences. Right? He can't try to establish his bona fides by fighting other heavyweights. He has to pick a big target, just like McGregor picked Mayweather. Right? It's like guys in their 20s, no. Guys in their 30s, no. Oh, okay, a guy in his 40s is available to fight me, let's fight. Right? That's the McGregor thought process. Same thing here. If I'm Andre Ward and I'm looking around, I personally would think, you know, guy who's aggressive on his front foot, Tony Bellew, guy who could cut off the ring and fight inside, a guy who's going to want me to fight inside. In other words, whereas Kovalev folded on the body shots, there's some heavyweights out there, Luis Ortiz is one of them, who's thinking, please, get close enough to me to try to hit my body. Let's trade body shots. Right? Let me also say this too. The big boys aren't going to wait for the referee. Right? You hit Luis Ortiz low, he's hitting you low back. Right? Nobody's going to depend on some Tony Weeks character to protect them. They're not going to be bent over looking at dudes. They're going to think, look, this small guy is in here trying to, you know, hurt my ability to use the bathroom. They're not going to be having it. So let me say this. I view Andre Ward at heavyweight differently than I view the guys who right now have some of the belts at cruiser. Right? Andre Ward, the right opportunity needs to present itself, in my opinion, for him to fight for the heavyweight title. Right? As I've said, if I hear Andre Ward has signed to fight Deontay Wilder, right, I'll be out of my seat trying to place a bet on Andre, because I feel Andre Ward, who's big, right? He's bigger than you think. Right? Andre Ward, who's big, knows how to dodge a jab. You saw him do a pretty good job dodging Kovalev's jab. Now keep in mind, in my opinion, at least on my scorecard, Kovalev was actually ahead going into the last round of that last fight. Right? But at the same time, Kovalev wasn't able to get a rhythm with his jab because Andre put a hand up, was moving, right? Upper body movement, and didn't spend a lot of time in jab range with Kovalev, right? Andre was pivoting and coming inside at angles, right? I want you to notice the angle at which that fight ended, right? Ward's like over here, hitting Kovalev in the rib cage, right? I get the feeling Wilder has a pretty good jab. I get the feeling Ward would be able to dodge Wilder's jab, would get inside, and then he would find a guy who is tall but slender. This is the slim heavyweight. I believe he'd have an opportunity if he gets inside to hit Wilder's midsection, and I don't think Wilder would offer the resistance inside that, let's say, a Luis Ortiz would. Right? Well, understand, let me name two cruisers who I think differently of. I think Oxlander-Usyk can literally fight a bunch of heavyweights. He doesn't have to target a heavyweight who matches his style. Right? I believe he could literally take a list of heavyweights and say, okay, let's have a round robin. I think at the end of it, and I know Usyk, for some odd reason, doesn't want to go heavyweight right now. But I get the feeling Usyk would beat most of the guys out there. Right? Really, as I see it, right? If you don't have mobility, you don't have a shot on Usyk. Right? I just don't think you do. Usyk, in a way, is almost like, and this is a name you need to know, right? 168-pound champion Gilberto Ramirez. Let me just say this. I know people say, oh, Dwyer, you like underdogs. I don't believe a Ramirez-Canelo fight's competitive, folks. I think, you know, Ramirez just fought Arthur Abraham, embarrassed him. Right? If you don't have foot speed, you're going to lose badly to him. That's the way it is with Usyk. Right? If you don't have foot speed, he doesn't even have to get inside on you. Right? So understand, that eliminates a lot of heavyweights. You have to be Lucas Brown. You have to be Brian Jennings. You have to be Tyson Fury. You know, you have to be a mobile heavyweight to have a shot on him. Right? And even if you can get inside, understand Usyk has an inside game. Let me name another guy who I think, and this guy's under radar, who I think can beat many of the elite heavyweights out there. He's a WBO and IBO cruiserweight champion. He's already fought at heavyweight. The fight's a classic. It's on YouTube. What I want you to do is to look up Maris Briedis. That's the guy's name. He's a name you need to know. This is a champion at cruiser. Look up his fight against Manuel Charr. You're going to find out that Charr, who's on his front foot, trying to impose his weight on him. And keep in mind, Charr's a guy who fought Vladimir Klitschko. Charr's a very talented guy. He's trying to cut off the ring on Maris Briedis. He then realizes that he's in with the guy with superior hand speed, a complete back foot game. Complete. Briedis, by the way, has never lost. Right? As a pro. A complete back foot game. Ridiculous countering ability. Right? So as we focus on the guys we know, just understand in boxing you have a whole group of guys. The guys I just mentioned, Ramirez, Usyk, Briedis, they're all champions. They're all unbeaten. Public doesn't know who they are, it seems. Right? The gamblers, hey, these are the guys to key on. Right? These are the guys to key on. Finally, let me just throw this out there. There's a big superstar fight out there that might not happen because, who knows, politics, weight issues, and stuff like that. But I feel that it's important for history. Right? Understand, Adonis Stevenson has been light heavyweight champion for several years. Right? You heard me mention Tony Bellew. Stevenson destroyed Bellew. Look at that tape. Destroyed him. Now, Tony is the kind of guy who things bother him. So you know the rest. He's actually offered a rematch. He's offered a rematch to the guy who beat him. Tony's willing to leave the heavyweight division. He wants it at cruiserweight. The problem is Stevenson has a kingdom, right? He's the light heavyweight champion. Stevenson, I'm sure, is also aware of what happened to Roy Jones, right? You gain weight, you fight outside of the weight. Good luck losing the weight to come back to your kingdom. Kell Brook just found this out, right? So unfortunately, physiology might prevent us from getting that Bellew-Stevenson rematch. Now, if Andre Ward likes his dessert and feels that in his mid-30s he can no longer fit at 175, right? What I want to encourage guys to do, and I know it's counterintuitive, is maybe those two guys, and I know they both currently hold belts at 175, maybe what they could do, if they want to give us the fight, is give us, it wouldn't be a title fight. Would not be a title fight. If it's a title fight, it has to be a title weight. I don't like catch weights for title fights. But if they want to give us an exhibition above 175, but not at cruiser, maybe in the low 180s, I believe that fight would be a blockbuster. Right? I believe that fight would generate bigger crowds, quite frankly, than Ward did against Kovalev. Right? Let's remember, those guys didn't get to 200,000 pay-per-view buys for the first fight. We'll see what the second fight generates. Right? So food for thought. You know, I don't see Ward fighting Stevenson for the title at 175, simply because I think it's hard for Ward to make 175. Right? I could easily see Ward going to heavyweight, but that would be a short career. In my opinion, that would be a one-off. Right? I can't see Ward fighting Briedis or Usyk at cruiser. I believe both of those guys, simply put, are too dangerous. I know some people are going to laugh. You might remember that Marco Huck went the distance against Alexander Povetkin at heavyweight. Folks, that's who Briedis just spanked. Fight wasn't close. Look at the scorecards. Right? Don't be fooled with the fighter's name recognition and the guy's actual talent. You have a bunch of guys in this sport who are extremely talented, who are big-time competition, who the public is overlooking, as I've said. Right? I don't think Canelo would have a chance. Canelo's last fight was at 164. Let's remember that. I don't think Canelo would have a chance at 168 against Gilberto Ramirez. Right? Canelo is the guy who generates a million pay-per-view buys for his fights. Right? Ramirez is still relatively unknown. Right? Think about it. There's a talent gap. Right? Just food for thought. Anyway, that's how I see it. Let me hear from you. I hope you leave your comments in the comment section to this video. If you disagree, if you feel Andre Ward would have an easier time against Anthony Joshua than he would against Deontay Wilder, I hope you leave those comments in the comment section to this video. If you feel that Ward or Conor McGregor should be out there fighting more guys at a new weight class or in a new sport to work up to fighting a Floyd Mayweather or a Anthony Joshua, leave those comments in the comment section to this video. And if you feel, and I know there's a group of you out there, if you feel that I'm dissing Canelo, that he's the best of this generation, that his only loss was to Floyd Mayweather, right? And that this is a special fighter who's going to walk through Golovkin. I have Golovkin in that fight, but he's going to walk through Golovkin, and that no one around him can touch him. And the idea of Gilberto Ramirez, an unbeaten champion at 168, even challenging Canelo, who we all know walks around at more than 168, hope you leave those comments in the comment section to this video. Thanks for stopping by.